Hey everybody, welcome to Grimsforge Gaming. Today we are going to jump into my no CP Imperial City and no CP Cyrodiil build. You can also use this in Battlegrounds, however, right now if you're not using Dark Convergence, Rothgar's Chill, or any of the new sets, you're probably operating at a disadvantage there, but if you wanted to take this into Battlegrounds, you could. I've had success with it in Battlegrounds. It works great. Just to confirm, we are in no CP right now, so the stats you will see are without champion points. Outside of champion points, our tooltips are very high on this, and we'll talk about that as we look at the build. So, first things first, we are running Malakath's Band of Brutality. You can see at the bottom there, increases your damage done by 16% and decreases your critical damage done by 50%. Previously, Malakath's Band was not getting calculated into your tooltips, so you would look at your tooltips and they would read X amount and you were doing more damage than X amount when wearing Malakath's Band. But recently they've actually made it to where Malakath's Band is calculated into the tooltips, so that's great. A little less guesswork on the math. First armor set that we are running on this build is going to be Shacklebreaker. This is max stats, weapon damage, and recoveries. These are all great things in no CP. You're going to need recovery. The weapon or spell damage is great, and the max stats are great. And you can see that we're running Nirnhone two-hander and Sword and Board on the back bar. Our Sword and Board on the back bar, we're running Defending and Reinforced on the shield. I probably should gold that out. Whatever. The next set that we have this paired with is going to be Hulking Draugr, and if you've seen my Kratos build Old Man Strength 2.0, this is Kratos Old Man Strength 3.0, and it's specifically for the no CP campaigns. I really like where the max stats are at, the durability, and the burst on this. It hits really nice. But Hulking Draugr, you can just farm that in a dungeon. I can't think of the dungeon off the top of my head, sorry for that. You just Google it and you will find where it's at. And it's a very easy dungeon. As a matter of fact, I went through and was able to even solo the dungeon on normal with zero problems. It's just a bunch of max stamina. This particular armor setup is going to be, right now, currently I'm 1 heavy and then 6 medium. You could do 2 heavy. It's just my Kratos set here is a medium armor setup, and I would prefer that to actually be heavy. So in that moment I would have 2 heavy and then 5 medium. Okay. So this could be heavy. That'll give you a little bit more resistances and a little bit more max health. This seemed to be working okay, but we went with the Kratos helm because it gives us almost 1500 extra pin on this, and I'd say in no CP the pin situation's probably where it's a little bit harder to come by. You don't have champion points to get pin, and unless you build into pin specifically like with Spriggans or Spinners, it's harder to come by. Also, you could run with Heartland's Conqueror. That is actually working most of the time in no CP or anywhere in ESO right now, and you could just run a sharpened Maul with Heartland's Conqueror and get a ton of pen that way. So anyways, we've paired those two together, Shacklebreaker and Hulking Draugr, and two-hander Nirnhone, and then Defending and Reinforced. I do have a hodgepodge of traits here, and probably the best way to go would be your big pieces, which would be your helm, your chest, and your legs. I would make those all reinforced, and then on the other ones do impin. So don't necessarily duplicate what I have here. Let's look at the stats here real quick. Okay, you can see that we've got 14, almost 1500 stamina recovery. This is a sweet spot for me because we have some other stamina coming in through other means, so this seems to get it done. If you're somebody that wants 2k stamina recovery on a build, you can get that very easy just by simply going into your build and dropping I have 1 stamina recovery, 1 weapon damage, and 1 weapon damage. You could make both of these stamina recovery if you want, or you can change your Mundus stone, or you can change your food. There's a lot of different ways you can get more stamina recovery and builds, so tweak it to your liking, okay? You can see our max stamina is 35,000. Our max health actually goes up to just under 27,000 with some warden passives, and 20k magicka is really good. We don't have a lot of magicka expenses. Our weapon damage is 5k. When our weapon damage glyph on our two-hander goes off, it goes up to 5,500, and then with outside buffs or continuous, you will break 6k weapon damage on the build. The tooltips are really nice. 20,000 resistances on my two-hand bar and no CP right now. Actually 21,000 feels good. Okay, you can still get hit pretty hard by some people, but those people that are hitting you really hard will also take a bunch of damage. Okay, the champion points seem to be what's problematic with ESO, paired with specific armor sets, right? And anyways, 20k in just stat-based PvP, 20k resistances, 21,000 seems to be okay. You're not getting hit by silly free damage and free healing type stuff, proc sets, right? The players need to generate the heal, so you have room and no CP for counterplay. On my back bar, when I buff up, $25,000. That seems to be working really well, and our weapon damage will be at 4,100. Like I said, it'll get to 45, and then you add continuous and other stuff. Your sword and board bar can break 5k weapon damage on its own sometimes. Okay, let's look at some of the tool tips here. This is where this build really shines and why I like it. Our D-swing here in no CP is 14k. It's actually an 18k D-swing in CP, so that's why this build can hang in battlegrounds, even though there's proc sets all over the place, is because its burst damage is crazy. So 14k D-swing in no CP and almost 18k in CP. Okay, we are running reverse slice. I like the splash damage from this. You can run executioner, but I find outnumbered a lot, and there are times where I can't necessarily kill them all at once, and they're not going to kill themselves, so I just have to get one of them low and start executing, and the splash damage helps me kill the rest of them. Works out great. You can see our sub assault has a 16k tooltip on it, and that actually has an 18, almost 19k tooltip in CP scenarios. So 16k tooltip, and it's going to go out twice. So this is our delayed burst. We get up on the target after we summon a blast, or a blast bombs, after we summons sub assault, and get up on the target and start our D-swing medium attack combo, and it's just a lot of damage. We are running Bird of Prey, gives us major expedition and minor berserk, and we are running Bull Netch. Now, you could get rid of Bull Netch and you could run Rally for an additional burst heal. However, the heals on this in no CP feel great, okay? I have enough heals in no CP right now. In Battlegrounds, if you want to switch this out and you want to actually put Rally for an additional burst heal plus minor endurance, by all means do that, okay? Also, you would be removing Bull Netch from your bar, which is going to cleanse a negative effect every 5 seconds, and that's going to keep you from getting blown up from Plague Breaker, or whatever that armor set is, the new proc set that is there. So you don't want your Bull Netch accidentally blowing your face off, so by removing a negative effect. So that makes even more sense in Battlegrounds to remove this and drop Rally. Buff up again. Tooltip on this is 19k and then another 23k dot over time. The 19k in CP, so, or in Battlegrounds, actually goes up to 22,000. So it's a 22,000 Dawnbreaker, and then it's a 26,000 dot. after that. We are using Shielded Assault. This is my CC. I can use this from point blank range as well, so that's great. And this is my gap closer. You can use it offensively or defensively. So offensively is gap closing to a target, stunning them, and putting your burst into them. Defensively is I'm stuck in the middle of 3 people, and there's a 4th coming up. I'm going to gap close to the 4th. That gets me out of the group of 3, and then I start my kite game. This is a flex spot, and we'll talk about those different things that it could be. But right now I have Pierce Armor because it does major and minor breach. So this is almost 9k resistances gone from the target on top of our really high tooltips. Does a lot of damage. Some things that you can drop here. One of them is going to be Green Lotus. Okay. Green Lotus is going to, every time you do a light or heavy attack, you're going to have a heal coming in, so that works out really well, additional heals. Or you can put Living Vines, or either one of the morphs, Living Trellis or whatever. Now the only thing about this is if you run this route, when you cast it, it could actually go onto another target, okay? Not yourself, and so that's something to keep in mind about it. You could also run with Healing Seed and then use Corrupted Pollen on the ground and then make them fight inside your Defile. That's another option as well, and you'll get a little burst heal while you're fighting inside of that, so that's an option. Another option is Crystallized Shield and then either one of the morphs. One of the morphs, every time you take a ranged attack, it's going to shoot ice at the target and it's going to damage them, or the other morph gives you major heroism, so you have ult gen built into it. Pretty sure it's major, maybe it's minor, but either one of those morphs are awesome. And if you look at the damage shield on this, we're in PvP right now, so shields are cut in half. It's still an 18k damage shield at level 1. Like, I haven't leveled this up yet, right? So this thing is awesome. If you're running into sorcerers or you're running into bow gankers or anything like that, get rid of Pierce. Definitely drop Crystallized Shield and you'll be able to stand and fight with them more. This build is a hard counter to sorcerers as well, because if you're running into a sorcerer, no matter how bursty they are, you can drop this on your bar, and with this on your bar, half of a sorcerer's burst potential is eliminated when you cleanse Haunting Curse and Endless Fury. Okay, you cleanse both of those, and the thing about it is this is a free ability. Also, I get a little baby heal every time I use it through a Warden passive, which we'll talk about. But so you run into a sorcerer, you just hit this twice after they put their Haunting Curse and Endless Fury on you, and now their only offense they can do is going to be their light attack, Crushing Shock, Crystal Frag, right? Which this Crystallized Shield would eat up most of that. Meanwhile, you're in their face doing damage, eating through their shields and hitting them very hard. Okay, so this lined up against sorcerers works out really well. You can check the descriptions below and you can kind of see how I use this versus sorcerers. I literally have a video called Kratos, or it's with Kratos here, and it's Sorks. You know, that's in the title, how to deal with sorcerers. So let's buff up here again. Okay, so tooltip 17k on our Resolving Vigor. Now this gets much higher once Major Mending is added. However, the only way that this class has access to Major Mending is going to be when we're being healed by one of these abilities. Okay, so now if we were getting healed by this or this, then Major Mending would become a thing. Or you can run this, but for me, the only way that I have access to Major Mending is right when I need it most. If I drop my Enchanted Forest on the ground and I'm getting healed by it, I'm also receiving Major Mending, so both of these do work. I do like the fact that this is a stamina based heal and this is a magicka based heal, so balancing my resources on this build actually works out really well. It's easy to maintain or sustain on this build in outnumbered fights. That works out really well. Now, Arctic Blast did take kind of a kick to the pants when they nerfed it a couple patches ago, and the overall heal became less. And also in no CP, it gets a little harder to stack health, right? In CP, there's two separate points where you can put CP into it and start stacking health onto your build. No CP, it's a little harder to stack health. You'd have to allot your attribute points towards it, or specific foods, or enchants. Okay, so this heal does a little less because it got nerfed a while back, and because we're in no CP, our max health, you can see at the bottom, this heal scales off your max health. Well, in no CP, our max health is just a little bit less than it would be in CP, so this heal does a little less. If you're the person that feels like these two aren't getting it done for you, either A, you're throwing yourself into situations you shouldn't be in. You know, it's just too many people and too much damage coming in, and you're expecting these two things to save your life. Or B, you need to drop Netch and actually add Rally on there for a burst heal. Okay, so you do have that option there. Or drop this and add another heal there. Flex. We are running Ice Fortress, which gives us minor protection, an extra 5% damage mitigation, which is great, and then Enchanted Forest. Okay. The front bar being set up like this works out really well for a couple reasons. We have a lot of damage modifiers on our front bar. Number one, all three of these abilities are part of the Animal Companion skill line. Okay. And right here you can see Advanced Species. Increase your damage done by 2% for each Animal Companion ability slotted. Well, we've got 3 on our front bar, so there's an extra 6% damage done. Also, we get an extra 5% damage done by Minor Berserk. Okay? And because we have Dawnbreaker Smiting on our front bar, if you go to Fighters Guild and you look at increase your weapon and spell damage by 3% for each fighter guild ability slotted. There's an extra 3%. Okay, so it's 6%, 5%, 3%, 5. You know, we're stacking a lot of different percentages. Now we get into the thing of multiplicative versus additive, and so just because it's not going to be 5% plus, or 6% plus 5% plus 3%. It'll end up being less than that, but we definitely notice whatever percent it comes out to when you do the math of it multiplicatively, it's a lot of damage. Okay, tooltips are pretty nice on it. It hits very hard. Okay, make sure first, I guess we'll go look at this. I said I was using the warrior just for the extra weapon damage, and it helps with your heals with vigor. It doesn't need to be warrior. If you want it to be the serpent for more stamina recovery, you can do that, because some people are like, there's no way you 1vx on this build with less than 2k stamina recovery. There's going to be someone out there that says that, and that's just flat wrong. Okay, because different skill sets for different people, right? And I found my sweet spot at the 1400 stamina recovery. Anything more than 1400 stamina recovery on this build, not counting the additional stamina coming in from Netch and whatever, I found that I can sustain in outnumbered fights on this build very well. Okay, but if you're the type of person, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but if you need 2k stamina, switch this to Serpent, add stamina recovery on your jewelry, and you'll be fine. And you can even switch your food to Artaeum Takeaway Broth. I'm currently using Bewitched Sugar Skulls. I normally run Bewitched Sugars. I normally run Artaeum Takeaway Broth. Okay, so Bewitched Sugar Skulls right now is the cheaper food to get, but Artaeum Takeaway Broth will give you an additional stamina recovery. So it takes this up to the 1800 stamina recovery range. Okay, so that's pretty nice. We are a Nord, and I like Nord for my Kratos because Stalwart passive, he has extra stamina, and then when you take damage you have built-in ult gen. So I'm pretty quick to jump in fights on Kratos, and I'm going to be taking damage, so I might as well have ult coming in from that. That works out great. And we have the rugged passive, additional 2600 physical and spell resistances. Another thing too, about ult gen is built within the animal companion line. You have built-in ult gen and healing. Anytime one of your animal companion skills ends, you are healed. So when this ends, I get a heal, and every time I spam this, I get a heal, and that's really nice. And you can see I have built-in ult gen here. When you cast an animal companion ability while you are in combat, you generate 4 ultimate. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds. So class passives generate ultimate, and then racial passives generating ultimate gets me to my Dawnbreaker very quickly, and so I like that a lot. We talked about the flex, we talked about what class we are. Let's go look at the armor one last time just so you guys can see medium, 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 medium. Okay, so 6 medium, 1 heavy. Like I said, if you want this Kratos to be a heavy, you can. Also, you could move some things around and maybe pick up a jewelry piece of hulking and make this shackle breaker, and then you could run heavy here, and heavy there. So you could actually run a 3 heavy, 4 medium setup. Your weapon damage will drop a little bit, but you'll be a little bit more tanky, and your max health will drive up a little bit more, and it'll help with your Arctic Blast heal. Another thing about the Arctic Blast heal while we were looking at that, Arctic Blast is awesome for a couple reasons, but number one, when you are fighting outnumbered, and let's say I'm fighting 3 people, I stun one of them and I'm trying to burn them down, and I'm taking damage from all 3 of these people, right? Well, I go through my rotation and make sure my buffs are up, and I make sure that my heals are coming in. When I trigger this just to heal myself, it's also going to do, it does a burst heal, it does a hot, it does AoE damage, and if they take that AoE damage 3 times, they are stunned. So it has an AoE stun effect to it, right? And when you're fighting outnumbered, that stun is amazing. And so for anybody that says Arctic Blast is hot doo-doo water or whatever they want to call it, it is not, okay? They just lack understanding. So, or you know what, maybe you're playing on maybe you're playing on Xbox or PlayStation and it's not getting it done. The meta there is different, and it's just not working for you. Whatever, works great for me on PC and A. Okay, so these 2 heals together, drop another one there if you need it. You can drop this out and you can put rally there. Okay, we're not going into CP. If you want CP on this build, you want to know what I'd run to do battlegrounds on it, go ahead and leave a message below, and I'll reach out to you at some point and we'll get the champion points to you. But for now, with the current state of the game, where ESO is at with proc sets and decisions made with CP, I'm a no CP PvPer. Okay, so I'm going to be a no CP Imperial City and no CP Cyrodiil. And I know some people will say that build diversity sucks there, or this, that, and the other, but I would rather deal with stat-based armor sets that players actually have to do damage. They're not getting a bunch of free, ridiculous pulls and explosions and damage. Free damage and free healing from armor sets. I like skill-based PvP. So, alright. Old Man Strength 3.0. No CP. Here it is. Thanks.